Hello and welcome to Sun Center, where we delve further into Cornell's biggest stories. This week, we'll take a look at an overview of homecoming weekend and Cornell's severed contract with Adidas. But first, we introduce this edition of Sun Center with an update on the current crime rate on campus.
According to the Cornell Annual Police Report, there has been a 26% decrease in crime since 2009, the year in which Chief Kathy Zoner was appointed. Yet these figures don't necessarily reflect what is actually happening on campus. According to Zoner, while the majority of crime on campus still remains property theft, recently the severity in the types of crime on campus has drastically escalated, shifting from alcohol violations and drug referrals to hate crimes. While the police force is trying to lessen these sorts of crimes, students remain skeptical. Hi, this is Lizzie Podolsky reporting with the Cornell Daily Sun. Despite the severity of recent crimes on campus, there's actually been a 26% decrease in campus crime since 2009. We have with us here today Chief Kathy Zoner, who has held this position since 2009. So, Chief Zoner, what would you say the Cornell police have done to merit this decrease in crime?
Well, I'd like to take the credit as having taken over the chief spot in 2009, but I really think that we owe it to multiple factors, not the least of which is that people report crime quickly to us now, more so than they have, and that allows us to act quickly and allows us to make more arrests, apprehend individuals that are causing us problems throughout campus. A lot of times we see an increase or a spike in crimes because of the activities of one or two people working in concert with each other. And when we catch up with those people, then all of a sudden our crime decreases. So some of it's a little bit of luck of the draw. The rest I think I can attribute to the community listening to our pleas to please lock up your goods, don't walk away, leave them unattended, or leave windows open or high value items in plain view.
So, what would you say is the most prevalent type of crime on campus right now? And what is the Cornell Police Force doing to alleviate this kind of crime?
Well, a number of things. The biggest crime that we have on campus is always property crime, whether it's damage to property or theft of property. If you add the two together, that's always the highest numbers for us. We work very hard to keep those property crimes down, but that's a place where it really involves the community in taking care of their own goods and making sure things are locked up and keeping them safe. We run a lot of crime prevention programs, do a lot of programming in the dorms and outside in classrooms. Provide safety tips, always look for new ways to address people so that it doesn't get to be the same old messages. Certainly try new marketing techniques, and we also have a very active traffic enforcement program, and research has shown that there's a direct correlation between traffic enforcement and the reduction of crime, overall crime, and we're going to spend a little bit of time looking into that to see what more we can do.
So does the Cornell Police Force have any future plans that you're planning on implementing to continue to keep this percentage going down?
Yes, just keeping to an eye to statistics. We're going to do a lot of data analysis. We're going to work with the crimes that are reported to us, encourage people to report more crimes, which might show us an initial spike, but again, the more crimes that are reported to us, the easier it is to apprehend those that are committing them. And do the correlations, look at the correlations, work with experts to see how we can correlate our traffic safety program, our traffic enforcement program with crime areas where crime is prevalent.
Great. One final question. Can I put on your hat?
Sure, go right ahead.
Good evening. Cornell's annual homecoming football game was this weekend, and Cornell defeated Yale 45-6. Here with us tonight is James Feld, Vice President of Programming of the Cornell Homecoming Committee. James, in your opinion, how did the weekend go?
Overall, I think it was a huge success. I'd say both students and alumni were excited for the weekend, both the football game, the other events that are happening that night, the tailgate in the morning. So overall, I think people were excited, and I'll go out on a limb and say that enthusiasm is going to carry over till next year. I think people are excited this year, and I think people are looking forward to what homecoming has in store in the future. Yeah.
And speaking of other events, the Avicii concert was this weekend. In your opinion, did that have a negative or positive contribution to the overall homecoming experience?
I'd say on whole positive. It was another thing to look forward to. It helped enhance the weekend. Last year there was B.O.B., this year is Avicii, and I think this Saturday night concert will continue. And again, it just enhanced the weekend, made people more excited for homecoming. So I think on whole was a positive, and will definitely continue.
Okay, and now the student homecoming committee aspect, that's a new thing for Cornell. Could you
Yes.
talk a little bit about
Yep.
how that got started?
So the committee is part of a larger initiative by Alumni Affairs to increase student engagement participation with homecoming. They're really taking a lot of efforts to increase homecoming, both with the events, branding, things like that. And the student committee was formed to, again, increase student programming for homecoming. So this was the first year that we were putting on programs. So we had events throughout the week. We had a blood drive. There was the Cornell Spirit Day, free bagels. We also had our first ever homecoming champion competition throughout the week. And it was those events that, in my opinion, got students interested for the weekend. And I'd say that the programs were successful and just more things to look forward to for next year. So again, the committee was there to get students engaged throughout the week. And like I said, people enjoyed homecoming. They were excited, and overall it was a success.
And what kind of preparation goes into making that week happen and be such a success?
So when thinking about what we wanted to do for this year, we really looked at different schools, their homecomings, so see what they're doing. So we tried to mirror some of our events from what other schools are doing, and from there it's coordinating the physical logistics, promotions, getting the word out, coordinating volunteers. So there's a lot of time that goes into the preparation, a lot of time going into, coordinating all these things. And the biggest hurdle, in my opinion, was not so much coordinating logistics and getting volunteers, it was just getting the word out, getting people interested, getting people excited for homecoming. And it's just putting in that time to get the word out. And like I said, I think we did well, we were successful, and yeah, homecoming 2012, success in my book.
Yeah, well, you did a great job, and thank you
you.
so much. Thanks for coming down.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks.
Just last week, President Skorton announced the university was severing its business ties with Adidas, who is licensed to sell clothing with the university's name on it. Mike Powers, Director of Communications for Cornell, is here to talk to us about the issue. Mike,
Hi.
thanks for joining us.
Well,
Can you
I'm
tell
glad
me
to be here.
a
Thank
little
you.
bit more about it?
Sure. Well, in just about 2 years ago, there was an apparel factory in Indonesia called PT Kazone. Among its customers were Adidas. Nike was also there. The Dallas Cowboys were there in a very small way. So the owner closed the factory without notice, disappeared overnight to Korea, where he's from, and the workers were left, I think, being owed somewhere in the vicinity of $3.4 million. Now, Cornell's codes of conduct call for, let me back up, Cornell's codes of conduct consider a licensee to also encompass its contractors and its subcontractors. So in this case, because the contractor did not meet its legal obligation to provide severance, we hold the brands, the licensees, responsible. Nike to date has paid, along with its agent Green Textile, more than $1.5 million. The Cowboys, who again were a very, very small customer, have contributed $55,000. But Adidas has steadfastly denied it has any responsibility here.
And how large was our contract with Adidas, and what did that
It
entail?
wasn't big. It was a licensing contract. They were licensed to produce apparel with Cornell names and marks. They paid us royalties. Royalties were typically in the $1,200 to $1,500 a year area, which, if you do the math, calculates that they were bringing in revenue of maybe $30,000 to $35,000 a year. So it wasn't a lot.
And has this ever happened before, where Cornell has dropped someone because of labor abuses?
Twice. In 2009, we cut Russell Athletics' contract because they had closed 2 factories in Honduras that they owned because the workers there were attempting to unionize. Now, this got a little contentious. Russell made the point or the argument that they did it because the demand for fleece apparel was diminishing. I think there was some truth in both issues. There was definitely a reaction to the attempt to unionize. We were the 12th or 13th of what ultimately were I believe 120 schools who pulled the license, and Russell did a 180 and reopened the factories and rehired the workers, and they have become sort of a model for worker rights in Central America. About a year later, we had a similar incident with Nike. They had, again, there were 2 factories in Honduras. Nike did not own them, but they were closed, with a great deal of severance being due. I think it was late spring, maybe May. We told Nike that we would not renew their contract, which was over at the end of the calendar year, unless they took some action, which again, ultimately they did. And in the case of the Indonesian factory, which we're dealing with now, they have stepped up and really done the right thing.
And if Adidas pays their workers, could they regain their contract that they had with us originally?
Sure. I mean, we did it with Nike, we did it with Russell, and should they start to live up to the codes of conduct that we require of our licensees, I'm sure we would be happy to reconsider reestablishing their license. And we have not cut it yet. It's October 1st.
By October 1st.
Right.
Okay.
So we've not heard from them. I don't know whether we will or not.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching this week's edition of Sun Center. Join us next week when we discuss Startup Weekend and the changes to Cornell Cinema.